until I hear more about the business. It's hard for me to comment on what you're just responded until I know the intentions behind this meeting.
Josh?
Yeah, thank you, Jim. Just a couple of items for me. One, Christy Dennis, I think your comments are spot on, so I won't repeat those. Hold on just a second, honey. One of the things I wanted to raise on here was maybe furthering on Christy's comments is like, I just didn't see, based on the agenda, I'm very curious to see the discussion tonight, but I didn't necessarily see any agenda items that warranted, an immediate discussion. So I'm concerned about just district resources and the cost of meetings. And, we've put so much effort into having a cycle of regular meetings that it seems like this meeting was set up almost to not have many people attend. So just an observation there. And I'm curious to hear the discussion that happens. I also put some comments out there regarding the last Metro District meeting. I won't repeat those here. I think everybody has seen those, but for those that haven't, please go see my Facebook post around observations on that. The last item I just wanted to discuss quickly was, based on the agenda, and I don't know if this is where the discussion will go, there seems to be some indications that potentially Metro District 1 wants to do something different than District 2 as far as operating the pool and clubhouse and the district amenities. And the reason I wanted to get background on this was, during the settlement discussions and even before then, the reason we set up this kind of operations committee, if you will, was, we're a community with only one pool, one clubhouse, and a lot of shared amenities. And the only reason we have two separate boards is due to the fact that we have separate bonds, and there's no real way to untangle that based on the way that Oakwood set it up. So we put that operations committee in place in an attempt to operate this as one large community that makes joint decisions. And I still think that's the best thing that we could possibly do for this community. I understand that some of the District 1 board members are not happy with the recommendations coming out of that committee. And I do think that there's some valid discussions to have around costs and operations, lifeguards, things like that. And I think that there's room for disagreement even. I don't want to, I've also been frustrated, as Dennis has been, that it's okay for board members to disagree. We just got to come to a consensus decision and move forward. So, if there's concern about the committee, District 1 can place whoever they want on that committee. But if the potential for the discussion is that you want to remove yourself from that committee, I think that's a huge mistake for the community. I think that there's a good purpose behind it. I think there's a good mission. I think that there's room to put different people on the committee if you would like to take a different direction. But I'm hopeful that the District 1 board members aren't considering a full withdrawal or termination of that intergovernmental agreement or the committee or thereabouts. That's all.
Thanks, Josh. And I'll start with the last comment first. I would ask where you heard that we wanted to get rid of the joint agreement. But I think it was from a Mitch Facebook post. No, that isn't, and you'll see where the discussion goes. That is not even being considered. We want to be lockstep with MD2, but we want to have control over our own governance of the exact same covenants and maintenance and everything else, DRC and covenants. Right now, everything falls to MD2. We pay for the lawyer and we pay for MDM, the management team, to send out letters and everything else, but we have no idea what's going on DRC or covenant enforcement.
So this is Jason. I've just kind of asked on that. Have you actually asked for that information from SDMS?
Yes.
And they told you they wouldn't provide it unless D2 signed off on it?
I've sent SDMS several emails starting back with Travis and through Peggy and through David, and I get no responses. If it has to do with DRC or covenant control, I get zero responses. If
So
it has
there was
to do with
just
the
an email
website,
blast that went out
excuse me,
that
Jason.
gave all the
Excuse me,
violations,
Jason.
correct?
Jason, can I
What?
stop?
Yeah.
When I reach out about website, I get a response within 15 minutes. So, and we got a letter from, and you were copied on it. We got a letter from David explaining to MD1 that they had no covenant control and no DRC control, that it all fell to MD2. If you look at the contract between MDM, the management company, it's between them and MD2. MD1 is not on that contract.
If I can make a point of order, this is public comment. It's not internal board
Yeah.
discussion, so let's get on with the public comment.
Read it. Is there anybody else like to make a comment?
Hi, my name is Laura Wells, and on a lighter note, I am calling to, or talking to you all about our neighborhood yard sale that is coming up on June 7th and 8th from 8 to 1. We do have a food truck that is going to serve homemade donuts and coffee on Saturday morning from 9 to 11. I'm going to have a table set up. We're going to have a drawing for a Target gift card. And so far, we already have over 22 families involved, which is really exciting. We haven't had a community yard sale in a couple years, so now is the time to do that. The other thing that I want to inform you and the board especially is that I'm going to be putting up banners probably Sunday night or Monday at each of the 3 entrances to advertise to the community that we'll have that yard sale the following Saturday and Sunday from 8 to 1.
Is there a way to sign up?
There is, I put something out on Facebook, but for those that don't have Facebook, you can direct message me and I'd be happy to add you to the list and also onto the map. And again, my name's Laurel Wells.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura, for setting that up. I know that was a big thing for a lot of the members of this community, so I just want to say thank you.
Any additional public comments? All right, on to the agenda item of
All right,
financial.
Jim, I was trying to get off mute. Do we have an
sorry.
option to ask a couple questions after we hear everything else that's happening at the end of this, or is this the only option?
We'll see how much time it is. I don't want to, I'm trying to keep this as short as possible.
You're more than welcome to come to the clubhouse. I'll stay here as long as it takes and answer any questions anybody has.
Gotcha. All right, thanks.
The financial matters. Basically, I just wanted to make sure the board was aware of the fact that, and this alludes back to the comment earlier about covenant control and DRC, but between managing the district and covenant enforcement and community management, we're targeting to pay almost $40,000 as MD1, and we have absolutely no control over who gets enforcement, who doesn't get enforcement. We don't get, I see on the bills that we get when they submit and they charge us for doing a DRC review and talking with the homeowner. We get billed for that, but we don't see we have no input on whether they're adhering to the covenants as written or they're adhering to different covenants. So I just want to make the board aware of that and have any discussions from board members.
So, yeah, I guess I just kind of want to bring up the piece that you're bringing that we don't have any say on it. We've been working with D2 on this for quite a bit. It's actually in our covenants, not even part of the IGA, that D2 would hold the side of the piece of DRC and code enforcement. So this goes back for the original build out of the community. As far as the naughty list that comes out, that got started again with David. So we are seeing that information. As far as the DRC itself, it was decided a while back that it would be done externally so that if there was any issues, it would be seen as being done from an external entity versus from neighbors, where people would then say they were targeted by unfairness and leave us open to be into hey, that's my neighbor, they don't like me, so if they're targeting me, they're not allowing me to do my colors. It gives us more legal protection on that piece to basically have a third party that is given the guidelines, which has been the case for years on that side of it. So I guess, are there any examples where you feel like the DRCs aren't being strict, like, or being adhered to? Any recent projects that you're not actually being done correctly since David's taken over?
I won't get into specifics, but I'm not looking for us to take control of DRC or covenant control. I'm looking for us to have some input as to how they're managed. Right now, MD1 has no input.
And actually, I mean, I know for a fact that Travis has emailed out and Chris and myself have been involved when they do have questions about they should approve or not approve something. So Chris and myself have both been on this list for D1 when questions that came in from SDMS.
We got a question as to what is the DRC? It's the Design Review Committee for projects, backyards, painting, those kinds of things, for those who didn't know what the acronym stood for.
And I guess I'd have to ask, why aren't all the board members copied on those correspondence?
Because then it would be violate the open meetings rule. It's quorum. If there's a quorum to make a decision or anything in the board, it's a violation of open meetings law. The board as a whole doesn't take action. The board hires a company and that they have there's certain people that want to have action on it. And I guess from this piece, Travis felt that it would be myself and Chris who he could reach out to, but it could be anyone on the board that he reaches out to on this.
Noted. You want to make a comment?
I'm not signed up. It's Chris. Yes, I have received emails, you're right, Jason, from Travis, and asking for opinion on certain things. I have no idea what then my response is, what happens with them. I've been thanked, and I assume then that Travis does whatever is going to happen, whatever that SDMS has decided will happen. I don't know that everything is related to the bylaws, or what, I know that's not the right term, that we've had in place yet. And I think I only was accidentally added to the list, but I appreciate anything that I hear from SDMS on those in that regard.
I guess my frustration is that, Jason, is that all the board members should be vigilant in the neighborhood, in the community. And if we see something, we should be able to send it to Travis and have him react to it and get feedback that it has been dealt with. And that right now, if I send an email to Travis and say there's an RV parked in somebody's driveway for 2 weeks, it goes into a black hole as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what he's done, what action he's taken. And that's what's frustrating to me as a board member.
Granted, and I think without having SDMS here to talk about what the process of that is, I can only go based upon what I know for historical knowledge. The naughty list that we get, basically, I'm not using the right term on that, is basically governed from an external entity. We cannot be seen as a board targeting people, guiding, or saying, hey, this home is misbehaving, other than like giving that information. Or else it's seen as, hey, we're intentionally targeting people within the neighborhood. So
No,
we are to be
how-
removed from the process and having a company oversee and do it. And then the report out is kind of what we use to kind of understand and manage what they're doing. So I know David just restarted out that report out process. But as far as like having our hands involved and saying, oh, they need to be fined right now. Oh, are they on warning letter? Are they not on warning letter? Are they on number 3? Oh, do their fine? Start the eviction process. All those pieces. We are supposed to be removed from that. And that's the whole reason they're hired out.
Where does it say that we are supposed to be removed from that? I mean, that's the big disconnect, is we are the Metro District Board. We are elected by the members of this community. And I don't want to send out letters. I think having MDMS send out the letters is a important part of that, keeping church and state separate. But if we see a violation, regardless of who it is, if it's my wife, I should be able to send that information to SDMS and have
Yep.
them act on it.
I fully agree. And that's the process now. So if you see a violation, just like any neighbor, any person in the neighborhood, you can take and send that to SDMS.
Okay, but where's the feedback from SDMS? Why is that not part of the process is my problem with the process.
Hey, Sam, that list that he sent out that had the violators on it, anybody that you were concerned with, were they on that list?
No,
And
Uh,
has the, so when you submitted it, has the issue been cleaned up since or no?
no,
And so you have had no response at all from Travis on that.
none at all.
Then I would raise that to David as well, because it is part of the process and they are, just like they're hired by MD2 to do this, they still respond to both of us as a group. So if you'd like, Jim, I'm more than happy to do a joint email with me and you on it and see what the response is, because I would also love to have an answer to it and see where the disconnect is. I can only speak to my issues personally, but I've never not been responded to by them. So I'd be very interested to see where a disconnect is. You want to send me that information that who you have as the person, Jim, and I can CC. We'll both get on there, talk with both David and Travis, and find out where that disconnect is.
I
'Cause
sent
they
the
should be
latest,
responding.
I sent the latest ones to to David. And that's what prompted the email to all of the board members advising us that basically MD1 has no control over any of that. That is all coming out of MD2.
I mean,
Well,
we should have a collaborative relationship with Keith to the point where he tells David if there's a violation that's recognized by MD1 in MD1, he should have the authority to deal with it. It shouldn't have to come. Yes, they are the legal entity, but if something is identified by a D1 member or resident and sent to David, it should be considered valid and not, well, it didn't come from D2, so it doesn't count.
no,
Which
I completely agree with you on that one.
That seems to be the attitude that David has right now. It didn't come from D1, so it doesn't count.
So the letter, as I read it from David, was saying that covenant enforcement and control was at D2. Not that we couldn't turn things in, not that we couldn't ask questions, but as far as setting up a DRC committee to approve things is at the behest of D2. So D2 owns any DRC committee. As far as violation and covenant enforcement, yes, it is done through D2 for everyone. But there was nothing in there saying that we could not ask questions, that we could not be informed, or any of those lines. It was that the process for how design review was being done for the community as a whole was owned by District Number 2.
Sure.
And they set the process.
And
There isn't a process to set. It's in the Erie Highlands DRC guidelines and it's in the covenants. So there's no there's no gray.
Yeah.
It's all black and white. There isn't a process to establish. And that's why I brought this up on this particular time, is because we're paying for it and we have absolutely no control over it.
And Jason, if I was D2, I wouldn't have a problem with D1 bringing up issues in their district and being able to get SDMS to act on those issues that are brought up by D1 in D1. I mean, much
Fully
like
agree.
if somebody from D2 brings something up, I wouldn't want the authority to say, well, don't consider that.
What I would recommend is, since we don't have SDMS here, to define the process for covenant enforcement, what the communication pathways are, what the response pathways are, or what is happening, nor do we have D2 on this meeting. We're all speaking into air at the moment. I would say let's hold this conversation and do it jointly when we have people that can actually respond and give us the valid answers to what's happening. I know you're saying, Jim, you're not getting those responses. I know personally I have gotten responses when I email out to Travis and have questions. Literally just today, there was a question about where does the document go for a DRC change request. And I got a response from Travis within 5 minutes of emailing him and asking where it's supposed to go. So that's my confusion on it. let's have them get together, form the response. Like I said, for my piece, as far as covenant enforcement goes, yes, we send it off. But as far as a response and what is supposed to happen, like what happens from that point forward, we are not involved in that piece because that's enforcement side of it, and enforcement is done through the hired agent. That way, it's not seen as anyone being directly targeted.
But what is the problem with them notifying us that action has been taken? That's, I mean, I was a member of the DRC at another community prior to this.
Let's do it. DRC
Made
and
up-
covenant enforcement are two different things. So let's,
We
I just
would-
want to cut it out real quick. So
I
you're talking about
understand,
covenant
but it was-
enforcement.
It was
Correct.
made up of residents and board members and worked jointly. There was no third party, and we walked a fine line, but we got it done. But here I have no problem with the way it's set up. I just want feedback. There's gotta be a loop. Right now, we've got a semicircle. And that other half of that circle needs to be completed where we are recognized that our input has been accepted, action has been taken. That's all we need to know.
Okay.
That
And
doesn't make us the Gestapo.
You're correct, Sam. And that is what the list that David just sent out is to my knowledge. As I was noticing, things take time and process, but I would say let's hold on this conversation till we can actually have David and D2 kind of give us more information on what's happening. As mentioned, David just took over for SDMS from us, from Peggy. So we now have new leadership there. He has sent out prior to the June 4th meeting, the naughty list for review. So I know that's a big piece that people are wanting to kind of have us seen on it as far as the board is concerned. But as far as like having a response for every time something's turned in, I do think we should give them a chance to respond what that process is instead of just assuming.
Well, I don't have to assume, Jason. None of the violations that I sent David have shown up on that naughty list. None of them.
And they may
Zero.
not be actual violations then as far as what is enforceable by the covenants.
I can walk you through the neighborhood and show you the violation.
But the
All I
point-
can do is just say
guys,
that.
guys, 1 second, because I'm sorry, but I'm not going to spend 2 hours arguing about covenant control. So, my suggestion would be this. We can't answer for SDMS and why things aren't being done. So I suggest that we table that conversation until they are and can answer, because we have no idea. The other thing that I want to put out there on that list that we got, the naughty list that we got, is I just want to remind you guys that we are a community, and we are a community of D1 and D2. We have a lot of neighbors that I saw pop up on that list that are experiencing life-changing things right now, and we're complaining about weeds and grass. And so I just want you guys to remember, we don't always know what's going on in people's lives. And there were 3 people on there that I know that one, he literally is stage 4 cancer. So let's have some compassion.
This wasn't supposed to get down into a covenant enforcement and harp on. My question, and I just want the board to noodle on it, is why doesn't MD2 pay for covenant enforcement since they own it? And so why
Because it's
should
a
we
joint
be,
operation and maintenance budget.
well, again, I'm throwing it out there. There's 5 people on the board, Jason. I'm throwing it out there as a thought point for future discussion. Why would we pay covenant enforcement or DRC enforcement if we don't have any say-so on it? So that's it. And that's mainly what it was on there for, is not to harp on David or anybody else. I just mentioned that none of the things I sent to him wound up on the naughty list, but
Moving right along.
moving right along. Well, and it ties in to discuss the email from Mr. Solon regarding covenant control in DRC. So it all falls together. Why would we pay for it? Because David was pretty adamant in that we have no control over it. So food for thought for future. Jeff, do you know what legal matters was? Because that wasn't on my original agenda request.
I don't have any. I'd say, Jim, this is a standard kind of agenda item that's just probably populated on there, but I don't have anything a specific for the board tonight. And right as of right now, I'm just waiting for you guys to ask me to weigh in. So if you want me to weigh in, I will, but otherwise I'm letting you guys have your conversation. So
No
I'm here as needed.
One question, Jim, just because it's on the agenda, the email, I know people are probably wondering about it. Are you okay if I share the email out that came from David as far as what his response was and what is listed out for DRC controls in the
I think
process?
that's more a question to David, but do you have any feeling toward you?
I'm sure it would help people, but you're right. It came from David. He's the one that should give the response.
I mean, Jeff can answer, is there anything legally that would prevent us from sending that out? But I would not publish that letter without consent of David, for sure.
Well, I just, because it's on the meeting agenda, I just feel something fair to the residents to know what was within the letter that was sent to us that we're all been discussing.
If it's the same email, I think you guys have kind of talked about what the communication was about. D2 is the enforcing entity of the covenants in the process. So I would think there's maybe not much reason to share the email. It sounds to me like there's just some follow-up conversations to have with SDMS about process and frustrations that the boards are having about how that's working, and obviously ask for them to make changes. That's what I'm hearing is the main theme here. Plus what Jim said, of course, as the other item, but at least as far as the process is concerned.
Good.
Jeff, I have a question for you on a separate topic.
Sure.
Legally speaking, with all this DRC and covenant enforcement, I still am very concerned about Oakwood signage and the fact that we are allowing them free advertising, so to speak. And was that, I know we talked about that during the settlement agreement, but was there ever any, I can't find any language directed at that, or have we approached Oakwood subsequently about that?
We haven't, Sam, and it's actually on the agenda for next Wednesday's meeting. It's been something we've been carrying forward, and it's, for better or worse, it's ended up at the end of agendas, and people have been tired, so we've tabled it.
Okay,
but
I've
it is
just been
on the
looking one
agenda.
meeting at a time, so you
Yeah,
know.
so I'm happy to cover it Wednesday. I wish I could
That's
say
fine.
I knew it all off the top of my head, but I wanted to review it, my notes again before I told you what I thought. So I wasn't ready to go into detail on it tonight.
Okay,
but
I can wait.
It is controlled by the covenants, and there is rules about where they can have their signs. So
Okay, no
Um,
problem. I can wait till the next meeting.
thanks.
Question. Not on signage, but it's back on the other. I was in reading my notes. This is Christine. How did D2 gain the authority over as the operating district for everybody? When did we cede that authority to them?
That was in the
solely?
original covenant.
It's in the covenants from 2015.
Yeah, the original.
2015, that was when Oakwood was a part of us, but when did we, as a group with the settlement agreement, go along with that?
So there was no go along with it, but what happened was there was another agreement outside of that that basically gave, so original was that D2 had covenant control. D2, when owned by Oakwood, gave that to D4. As
Right.
part of the settlement and split from Oakwood, there was the removal of that agreement that basically gave D4 covenant enforcement and control and DRC, which put it back with the original owner.
So we can't even discuss it. That's just how it's going to be forever and ever.
No, we'll take that up with.
So does,
Yeah. So Chris, if
Okay.
I could weigh in on that.
Thank you,
Jason
Jeff.
hit it. That was the process. D2 could, if they wanted to, I think, assign their powers to D1 for the property in D1. But that would be something that I think the two districts should talk about.
Yeah.
That would be possible, I think, but it's obviously hasn't been done. I believe that is also on the agenda for discussion on Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wondered, and I realized it was part of when Oakwood was populated the boards of all 5 districts. I realized it was one of those kinds of things, but it just seems like other things change when we signed the settlement agreement and we're moving on to new things. Well, I just was wondering why this had to remain the way it had been originally, no questions asked. It was just, but if we're going to discuss it on Wednesday, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, other business, discuss the intro letter from me to MD1 residents. You've all read the letter. Any comments?
Yeah, personally, I know we're always talking about saving money and using money fiscally responsible. So I'm just wondering, have you guys done a cost analysis to figure out what this is going to cost the district to send out?
Probably a lot less than the April 28th meeting, but it'll be in the probably $400 or $500 range,
And how many homes is this going to?
351.
All right. And then, so we're looking at close to $500, I'm guessing, for this. It's for a letter that is basically saying, hi, I'm your new board president. And then what
Yeah,
else are you?
You've seen the letter, Jason, and
Correct.
it's more than that. It's to kind of unenforce what has been dumped on me via your Facebook page. So there's a whole lot of misconceptions out there, and I'm trying to right those misconceptions.
I mean, I personally
we
would say it'd
do-
be better if it was, if you want to send this out for your introduction, I would say go for it as for your own funds, not the actual district funds. And I think that would be perfectly okay.
What
As
about an electronic version? Could you do something on the website? I mean, I know personally from the business that I'm in that mailing is a huge cost. So, and I do mostly postcards and it's a huge cost. So letter, envelopes, stamps, all of that, paper. If you do it electronically, I mean, I know some people love things in the mail, but 9 times out of 10, electronic is the way that most people prefer to have their stuff, and it's free besides the hourly rate you spend to MDS. Because I think that introducing the new board is great. I never got an introduction when I jumped on the board in 2023, and I don't think that anybody really knows who we all are. So I think that it's great that we do an introductory but I think it could be done electronically on the website.
Didn't we start out this meeting by talking about how communication was poor and not enough people have signed up, and the only way to get the only people who are on Facebook? So which one is it?
I think the use of Facebook, I know that you guys don't like it, but I'm sorry, it is the way that people communicate and it's the way that it has been. And you're going to get a lot more people who are going to jump on Facebook and see stuff than you're going to see somebody open up an envelope in the mail. I mean, I go to the mailbox and how much junk mail do I get from people? And it's going to end up in the trash and we're going to pay to mail those out. And Facebook is just the way that it's not even just Facebook. It's Instagram, Facebook, email, all of those things. That is the way that people conduct business now. I mean, as I'm an insurance agent and I've been doing this for 25 years and I don't waste money on postage and mailing because 9 times out of 10 it gets thrown away. That's just my suggestion. I'm just trying to offer a suggestion that would save money, but still get the district, get the new board. We can do a whole spill on each person because I think that it's important that people know who we are and where we come from, and I don't think it's a bad idea. I just don't think that we need to spend $500 to do it. I think that it would be more convenient for people if it was electronic.
Chris?
I agree that electronic seems to be the way, but we have to have email, as Sam said, we have to have email addresses and permission from people to send them something. If we can send something through the mail, and that has not yet been done. SDMS was supposed to do that to introduce themselves to us, and they did not do that.
I got a letter from SDMS, the welcome letter.
Through the mail. As well. No, they were supposed to do it through the mail because not
No,
everybody
they did through the mail.
Yeah, I got it in the mail as well.
I didn't.
We didn't. No, didn't happen to us.
So the way that it was, if you're signed up on the email list, they emailed it, and then for anyone not on the email list, they did a physical copy, just like the rules packet.
Jason, can you let Chris finish her comment?
Just this one time we need to introduce, because there has been a lot of misinformation out there. I hate to use that word. Just it would be
facts.
What?
Alternative facts.
And one time costs a lot less than some of the other things that we've been doing as a board. And It just seems the right thing to do just for District 1. It doesn't have to include District 2. So that would save some money. And it would be a good introduction. And those people then, we don't know who's not on it because we don't have a full list yet of email addresses to send things to. But regardless, I would like to get something in the mail that's not junk.
I think David said it was less than half last time he talked to us. I don't remember
I
exactly.
think it's not everybody. We're still, after all these months of having SDMS, we are still not reaching people. And I talked to neighbors who've signed up with them and are still not receiving the information. So that's maybe the first place I feel we need to address. And
I closed the letter with a call to action.
yes, with
Provide your
ability-
email address.
Yes.
Send your emails. I would then make a motion that the board approve the hard copy mailing of the intro letter as presented.
Before
by
we move
President
to a motion
David.
real quick, Sam, I just want to throw in something for you
Sure,
guys
Tony.
to think about, okay? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I don't want to move to a motion yet because I
Well,
think
we can get the motion on the floor and then have discussion. So, I mean,
Right.
either way.
so the same people who do not open their mail are going to be the same people that don't go to the website, are the same people that don't go on Facebook, and the other people that just don't want to be bothered with information from the Metro District. And that's fine. They don't have to have those things. But when you make it available on the website, if people want to know who we are, they're going to go to the website. And there's enough people that are on that Facebook page where if we post and say, hey guys, you want to know who your board is? Go to the website and get the introductory letter on all of us. It's going to be right there and it's not going to cost $500. That's all I'm suggesting is the mail is a waste of money.
And the other piece I would call to the board's view, I know we're not entertaining public comments much at the moment, but if you actually go through and review the comment, it seems like they're from our community that is here and supporting us. There are 34 participants currently watching this meeting, that most are saying that they prefer electronic on this as well. So just calling out the actual, what the community is
They're
saying.
on electronic loop.
I'm just saying, we're here to serve at the behest of the community, correct? And the community is speaking, so
We have 350, 360 people households that we need to address, and this would be one way to address everybody that may not be electronically minded, may not care to be on social media, or just they aren't doing it for whatever reason.
How about we do one better? And how about we do a community get together at one of the parks and we all stand there and let them come meet us in person and post that and see how many people want to come and meet us in person, because the thing is that $500 is not, I mean, if you guys do it, I do this daily. So I can share with you the cost of this. It is not cheap. And I do postcards. I don't even do letters with envelopes and paper.
I understand.
There is not going to be anybody who's going to be ecstatic about getting a letter from us introducing the board when we're trying to fix a budget that we're already in the hole with. We're going to get more comments back that says, why are we wasting money on this stuff? I promise you that's going to happen. I've been on part of this since 2016. And they're going to say there's better ways. The other thing is you're going to have people who do not want you wasting the paper. There's people who are very big on not killing trees that live in this neighborhood, and that is a total waste of those things. So all I'm suggesting is you're going to get backlash for it. So I would suggest electronically first. If people want to come and meet us, I am happy to set up a meeting at a park, up at the clubhouse, wherever, and say, come and meet us, come have a conversation, let's have some coffee. Because that's money well spent, where mailing a letter that's going to end out in their trash is a total waste of money. I mean, trust me, I've done this for a long time. I've done marketing for a long time, and anybody who's in it is going to tell you flyers, papers, letters, they're the thing of the past. People do not open them. Most of the time it gets thrown in the trash. So why waste that money when we can do one better and offer that in-person meeting? I would prefer that.
And I guess my biggest concern is you're going to approve or do a motion without knowing the total cost of what it's going to cost the district. So we're asking to send a letter, but you don't actually know the cost of what it would be. And I guess my next question is, what is the line item that this would come out of to support? Because it's currently not within the budget to do this. What are we taking this money away from in the budget to do?
Operational, yeah.
So taking away from, but what operational item, I guess?
We don't detail each and every item that we do under those costs regardless. The amount of time it takes SDMS or the attorney to put something together is a cost that isn't, that we absorb. It's a one-time thought.
What
So
line
if we
item?
offered an in-person meeting, it costs nothing. It costs nothing to post on there and say, hey guys, we're gonna be at this park on this day. Come meet the new members of your board. Come with your questions and your concerns. You guys are sitting up there right now. How many people are in the clubhouse right now with you?
One,
Not enough.
not enough,
So
but
exactly.
So
if I brought coffee and donuts, so you're saying we'd have 100 people?
Probably you would come for coffee and donuts, right, Sam?
So
I'd be here.
I would,
All right. So that's
So
what I'm saying. Instead of spending
Yeah.
500 on paper, let's do it a
So
different way.
I would say let's go. We can go ahead and go to motion, but I would just want to call out the fact, like I said, A, where is the money coming from to mail this out? And B, what is the total cost of this going to be?
and so if among the three of us, or four of us, or five of us that are here, if we personally chose to do this, that would be okay with you, because cost seems to be the main driver here of not doing it.
Oh, you want to personally
understand
print it out and mail it yourself and not, and from your
I
own
totally
list?
understand what Tony's saying about people not, yes, we throw away more than half of our mail that we receive. So I'm not trying to negate anything that you said, Tony, about that. Just seems to be that we've narrowed it down to that the cost of doing this is tremendous.
Well, it's
And
unknown. The cost is unknown.
it's known enough.
Where was the line item, Jason, in the rules of decorum that cost us $1,100? Where did that come from? Where did that come out of?
I guess, where did the rules of decorum costing $1,100 come from?
Legal review.
Legal, so there was a exact line item for legal review, rules of decorum was 1,100?
Correct. And if you want to get really technical about it, between SDMS and MD1, it cost over $12,000 for the pool rules and lifeguards.
And then I guess also the reason for the special meeting and having SDMS post it, the legal get on it, things on those lines, were like, also this is costing the district to call a special meeting.
Right. And just
Correct.
like the special meeting that was called on April 28th, 3 days before the election, that cost $1,300.
That
So, yeah,
meeting never, was that meeting even happen?
That one, I
Yes,
think
that's
that
where-
happened. Yeah, that was the
Yes.
one because it got pushed because we were trying to get the pools.
Oh,
Stuff
right,
that
right.
was supposed to be earlier and it got pushed back because there was a miss from the management company at the time. And that's how we ended up getting David, because there were so many misses in a row.
Gotcha.
No, the April 28th meeting was called by Josh to push through the pool rules and the lifeguards. And that was the only two things on the agenda.
No, that wasn't called by Josh. That was asked for by management.
Anyway, we're digressing. There was a motion.
I made a motion. I'm waiting for a second.
Well, and if I could be the bearer of bad news, so I think there was a little confusion about this posting. Jim, and I know you raised it with Dave, but this did get posted as a work study session. So by statute, that means no official action can be taken by the board at this meeting. What you can do tonight is identify items that you want to have on your consent agenda for the meeting next week. And all of these same items are on consent. And then any of the D1 board members at the meeting on Wednesday could then request items to come off consent. Because if it's on consent agenda, it implies unanimous vote, right? So it's not gonna be unanimous. You need to pull it off consent and then it's up for discussion at the meeting. So,
Fair enough.
yeah, just wanted to let you know. So you're not gonna be able to vote tonight on whether or not to mail it.
Okay, but it will be on the consent agenda
It already is. It's already listed on the agenda for Wednesday.
for
Yeah.
Wednesday. Okay.
And the last thing I want to talk about is the joint committee agreement. I don't want to get rid of it like, I believe Mitch posted on Facebook. All I want to do is make sure that MD1 is responsible for MD1 and MD2 is responsible for MD2.
Could I ask for clarification real quick? What is joint committee agreement? What, can you define that, please?
The joint resolution that you received at the last meeting has to do with forming committees and the scope of committees. Do you not remember that?
I was asking for which one you were referring to. So joint committee agreement on that one, because there was a confusion on this, is it wasn't well defined on what you're referring to.
It's a joint resolution. It's the one that Mitch said I was looking to, MD1 was looking to, and me personally, we're looking to do away with via Facebook post. Anyway, my only ask of the board is, and we can bring it up, like Jeff says, for a vote next week. But I want to change, I'd like to see committee membership selection on the standing committees change from adding people and removing people from as a quorum of the boards. I want it to be a quorum of MD1 if it's an MD1 member, or a quorum of the boards for MD2 if it's an MD2 board member.
So the whole point of this is so that the districts are working conjointly together in harmony to kind of do things. So it's ensuring that the members on both boards are people that actually communicate well, are able to exchange ideas. It's also so that they are marching towards the same beat, so that the boards itself can work independently without having to call these special meetings and waste taxpayer money and kind of do things. So saying, hey, I want to remove people off of it, and then like kind of drive that the joint committee into the ground if you're trying to place certain people, might cause issues if you don't allow as a committee or as the 10 board member community to kind of have say on that. I would say that that would be my recommendation on it, and why I would say it's probably best to leave as is, because we are one community. We are 10 distinct board members across the community. And to drive and say, hey, you other 5, you don't matter because I'm Metro District 1. I want to have my say directly in this versus what is best for the community. That's just my interpretation of it. And what my recommendation would be on it is we are a community of 10 district representatives. Let's continue to work as 10 district representatives instead of trying to drive wedges between each other.
It's not a wedge, Jason. And yes, we are 10 board members. We're 2 distinct metro districts. One is all homes, and one is homes, townhomes, and carriage homes. And so there's different needs, different requirements. And so, yes, it may be one huge neighborhood, but it was set up as Metro District 1 and Metro District 2. And if everything's in harmony, then Metro District 1 should have control and some say into how their covenants are done and how their DRC is done. So you argue one way and then it comes back the other way.
Well, no, so these boards are overseeing joint property. They're overseeing the pool and clubhouse. So it doesn't matter what type of house you live in. Doesn't matter if it's townhome, carriage home, or regular home, correct? So why would the type of home matter? It's a joint property, correct? As far as the community is concerned?
There's different maintenance requirements, different.
For the pool based upon where.
Not for the pool and clubhouse. I have
So
no
that's the
and
committee. And then the other committee is the landscaping committee as far as it's seen for district property. So this is the shared property as far as the trails within the community, the entryways within the community, the things on that. So this is something that affects the community as a whole, not the carriage homes independently, not the townhomes, not the single family homes. It's the joint resolution just pointing to the 2 committees it talks about are for shared property within the district.
But it never says that in there. I was confused on that. What I was really confused, is wondering what committees are we talking about? You, Jason, are saying that it's really only the pool clubhouse,
Currently, it's for those two committees,
those two
but
committees, but
it's,
it could be,
it's for any committee that's formed.
okay, but we only have two at the moment.
There are only two committees at the moment, and the landscaping committee isn't even fully formed yet. It was talked about, but it hasn't been set or placed with people at the moment.
Right, right. So
The
'cause
other
I've-
thing, oh, sorry, Chris, go ahead.
that's okay. Go ahead. My thought wasn't formed yet. Tony, go ahead.
The one thing that I do want to throw out, and I hope that it's considered, is I've been asked to be taken off of both of those committees and other people on. And so all I'm gonna ask is when we form these committees, I want to be a part of one of them. Because I just feel like I have a lot to offer and I'm not getting to provide you guys with what I'm good at. And so I'm just asking that we really need to figure out how to come together and work together. And I am a team player and I am here to do what's best for this community and the people who live in this community. And I think that we need to get to a point where we can have conversations that lead in a positive direction and that we're
Yes.
going forward. Because a lot, if you guys are paying attention to the chat, we have a lot of people who live in this neighborhood. And it feels like the arguments and they're not arguments, but the conversations that we're having, they're just this constant circle of the same thing that are going on. And this is costing the district money because we have us here, we have legal here. And we need to start pulling this together because this whole feeling of separation, I'm going to be honest, I feel like my voice doesn't matter because no matter what, Jim, Christine, and Sam are always going to vote on the same thing. So what's the point of me even bringing anything up? And that's disheartening because I have been a part of this since 2016. I was one of the first houses in this community. So I have a lot to offer, but we're not working together. And I want to see that. I want to see us working together and I want to see us moving forward because these meetings are the same thing over and over. And the community feels the same way. If you guys would read the chats, we have better things to do than just what we're doing now. So that's just my concern.
Understand. I've felt very much what you have felt, Tony, that things are being done. I don't know about them and decisions are made and I get told about them with no input. So I understand what you're saying completely. And we do, as a board, need to work this out. We do.
Be nice if all five of us were in the same room together.
Well, I'm sorry, my husband had cancer treatment today, so I can't be around anybody for 5 days.
And I
And-
just got my partner out of surgery, so I
Get it?
took him. So yeah, unfortunately, that is. And if you look at the actual participants, it's over 36 of us, and there are 4 or 5 in person. And not knocking. I'm glad you guys are helping me there, but I guess my 2 things on this, like I mentioned, everyone that's been with me around for years on these district meetings, my thing is I don't care about D1, D2. We are one community. We should act as one community. The committees, the joint committee resolution that you're looking at, the only 2 committees that are mentioned are called out are the pool committee, which is shared operations between D1 and D2, and landscaping, which is shared between D1 and D2. There isn't, oh, this is only D1, this is only D2. That's not how it's set up. It's set up that it is shared property on that side of it. So I guess I'm confused as to why you feel like, oh, it shouldn't be, D2 should have no say on this side of it, of who's sitting on it for us. Because it is something that we need to work together and ensure that the people on that committee are people that can actually work well together.
And the only point that we have to keep in mind, the only reason that there's a D1 and D2 was because of the mill levies. If it wasn't for the fact that and the bonds and all of the things that we can't combine, because trust me, if we could, we would. We work better as a team with all of us. And we can definitely come up with common solutions to things. I just feel like we just need to have better communication and I think we'll get there, but I think that we need to put our foot down and start working on things that actually need to take precedence over other things. Rather than, covenant control. You guys know how I feel about it. We have a management company we hired. That's their job. I know that everybody feels like they're not, but they're also new, just like Sam said, when Jim came into the position, it's a learning curve. He's new. This management company is new with this neighborhood. We're very unique. We have a lot of wheels going, and I think that they're going to do a fine job. It may not be as quickly as people would like to see, but there's processes and there's times. And the other thing is that we are not an HOA. We are a metro district, and it is totally different rules. And we need to make sure we're abiding by those rules, because remember, every time we send legal an email or SDMS an email, or we do this, it's all costing money, when we can bring this up in a meeting and just hash it all out and not have all these emails going. My email is crazy insane right now from the emails that are going back and forth with everybody, that it's so confusing. I can't even keep things straight. So I would like to just see these meetings come together, stick to the agendas, get these things done, and get this neighborhood on a positive path forward, and put egos aside, and let's do what we were brought into this community to do, and that's represent the people that live in this community.
True. We do happen to be very unique in the state of Colorado, that we are both Metro District and HOA. We don't use the word HOA in our,
We're not HOA.
we are responsible for the things that an HOA would be responsible for. And we're also responsible for the Metro District side. There's maybe 10% of districts in the state of Colorado that qualify as we do, which is why it's difficult to understand this. But I mean, it's difficult to find others that are like us. But we can't be run strictly like a Metro District. We have to take into consideration the HOA part as well. We have to consider our residents. We have to, communications is huge. Yes, like you said, Tony. And we just need to be cognizant and sensitive to both sides.
I agree. And Sam, there was a request in the chat. They would like the comments read out loud, because they want people to hear what they're saying. And if people aren't looking at the chat, I think we need to go through, and I mean, that's who we represent, is them. So let's let their voices be heard. So I think we need to read off the comments in the chat.
Well, I'm reading it in real time, and yeah, I mean, what do you want me to do?
I would not say read in real time, but Jeff, there is a request that the comments get saved as part of the minutes for this meeting. Is that possible?
Yeah, there's no minutes. It's a work session.
Yeah,
There will be minutes. A work session is still a meeting. The only difference is work sessions or meetings in which no official action can be taken. So there will be minutes. I mean, what you guys want in your minutes is up to the board, really. I mean, minutes are usually a summary of the topics in the discussion, and then a capture of the action items that were taken by the board. So I wouldn't say that I typically ever attach, chats or anything to minutes, but if you guys want to do that, I can see if I can grab these. I'm not the host. This is an SDMS.
It's
Yes.
David's personal room.
So, but
SDMS
maybe
is
there's
not
a
here.
way. I'm not sure. Maybe somebody else knows how to do it. If you can grab them, and the board wants to add these as an exhibit to the minutes, you can do that.
Well, I mean, what about the other 250 people that aren't participating in the chat right now?
That's
Well,
kind of on them. I mean, that's what this meeting is for people to get their voices
yeah.
heard. And if they don't, then they don't.
Nobody got him.
There's a save chat button right at the top, I think.
I mean, there's time for public comment at the beginning, and we heard what they said. We reacted to what they said. Those people that chose to speak up, that was the time to do it. I mean, not some chat board.
Maybe we need to
I
do
do
an
wanna
open now
say
then.
Some
since
of us
the
did
meeting's
ask for
over.
public comment at the
Yeah.
end of the meeting.
So I
Yeah.
think we should open that now so that they can have conversation about what
Sure.
they just heard.
Jeff, correct me, during a work study session, there isn't comments, is there?
Wednesday.
Well, it's still
Would
a
they not-
meeting, and you did have public comment on the agenda, Jim. Is that what you're referencing?
Yeah, we had public comment at the beginning.
Right. So if so, that's it. So I guess two parts to that. Other than that, the only time there'd be a special public comment would be if there's a statutorily required public hearing, and we don't have any of those items on the. Which then is if the board chooses, I wouldn't think that's official action per se, vote to have another public comment as part of the agenda tonight. I think that's not what the law is trying to do, decisions. But that's up to you guys if you want to reopen the floor to public comment.
I think we should. I think the public comment should be at the end of these meetings because we don't give them any information on what the meeting's about. Then we spill all this information to them and then we tell them that they can't talk. Like, that's not right. We need to let them have their conversations too.
I agree with Tony on this one. This is an MD1 meeting. It's been very different than some of our other ones. So I would agree that it seems like the community is very vocal and wants to share and let its voices be heard. I don't think it'd be behoove us to silence those voices.
Go for it.
Well, it's not on the agenda.
Yes, you guys would just need to basically vote to amend the agenda to add a second public comment period.
A motion to add a second public comment section for now.
I'll second it.
Capture that.
So then normally you'd say, is there any other discussion on that? Otherwise, we would take a vote. So all in favor of adding that should vote aye now.
Aye.
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 Well,
And then any those opposed?
No,
I think that was at least 3 yeses. Am I right on that?
it was 5.
it was
Okay.
unanimous.
Okay, well then great. Well then there's no no's. So sounds like, yeah, whenever you're done with the rest of the agenda, just open up a second public comment period.
Yeah, I think there's only one item left on the agenda, which is the monthly newsletter for District 1. I guess I just want to get some more clarification around that because I know it's going to the consent agenda. Is there a reason why we'd only do a D1 monthly newsletter instead of a community newsletter? I know it's already in the works by SDMS to be working through and setting up a newsletter to be emailed out. So
Well,
I guess I'm confused
they've-
on why we would do just a D1 only.
They've charged us for a couple of different newsletters. I've never received one.
They're on the website. The news, I went to the website yesterday just to go through it because I really I mean, I've jumped on it and seen it, but I wanted to see about the newsletter. And there is one that they post monthly that is on the website.
And I know they've asked us for information for it as well, like for information to post to the newsletter.
Who have they
Yeah, it's
asked?
posted on there. The newsletter is on the website.
Yeah, they've
For
emailed to the
April,
full
anyway.
board asking for comments or information to be added. They've sent it to everyone.
No, that's not
No.
true.
Oh, no,
Not true.
has not been received. So
Maybe you're on their special list, Jason.
I would like to, yeah, make sure that we know when it's gonna come out. And if we have things that we need to say, I'm sure that even though we are District 1, 2 together, and yes, we want to work together, we have many things in common. There could be things that are specific to a district that should be on a newsletter. If I can't say that it would happen,
All right.
but it could.
Apologies. I was just going to share this real quick to everyone. So this was sent out on April 9th. So I'd be interested, Sam and Chris, if you go back and look, there
Okay.
was this sent with BCC to all the board members from Peggy and the newsletter content and what was the draft and asking for information to come back to it. So you're saying neither one of you got this?
I'm looking.
I can't look at the moment, but I will. for
Okay.
Sure. You gave
Yeah.
you gave a date.
Yeah, so that came from Peggy on April 9th at 6:36 PM. So I just want to make sure I'm being fully transparent. Like if they aren't sending that to you guys, I'd be very interested because it should have gone to everyone on the boards.
Nope, the
So we're
only
like-
email I got from Peggy on April 9th was a copy of the Declaration of the Covenants, which I asked her for, but I got no other emails on the 9th from Peggy.
So another example, communication just needs to be improved. We need to be able to talk to each other and make it happen. I'm sure we can.
Okay, Jim, do you want to open up the public comment and give everybody 3 minutes? Do you want to control that time?
Well, I just have a clarification, Tony, before we move on to the next item. Jim, are you gonna contact David about this newsletter where we need to get solicited every month for our monthly inputs if we have any.
Yep.
If you can put that on your to-do list, please. Not that you have anything else to do.
I'll do that.
Okay, I'm done.
Yes, is there anybody that'd like to make, sorry, I'm in, Word right now because I was copying all of
Josh and Janine have their hands up.
Hey, Josh?
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Just a couple of observations on the meetings. So, one, I agree with a lot of the comments around just communication. I think what's happening from an SDMS perspective, and this is a little bit of speculation, but I also didn't receive the newsletter. I think that SDMS is just posting things to the website and letting them die. And they have an email list. They should be pushing things out. Like this meeting, for example, could have been an e-blast saying, hey, there's a special meeting. Here's the agenda. Instead, they just posted it to the website and didn't inform people. I think they could do the same thing for newsletters. Talking about the new newsletter, the welcome letter to the community, strongly support sending that electronically. There's concern around that. I mean, I have signed up to receive email communications from the district. I don't want an extra piece of mail in my mailbox. Like for everybody that's at least signed up to receive communication that way, that's how it should be delivered. You all can debate on if people haven't signed up, if they get that by mail, but I do think it's a cost to the community that's probably unnecessary. I can tell you from a lot of years of doing this that there's a lot of residents in the neighborhood that do not care about the Metro District, not because of any bad will, but they just don't care and they don't want to get communication. And, that's a frustrating thing at times, but I just don't think that you're going to see tons of payback on the mailing costs there. And then the last item is just on the joint resolution that Jim, you brought up. I think people need to go back and re-examine that because I don't have it in front of me, but I don't think it gives any joint, it doesn't give D1 purview over D2 matters or vice versa. The reason it's there is that we do have some community assets that are jointly in the names of District 1 and District 2, the pool and clubhouse, for example. And I do think it's important to have joint, all 10 board members being able to control those operations. But I don't believe the joint resolution gives anything as far as, D2 control over D1 legal matters or administrative items or anything like that. So I think before any actions taken on that, I would highly recommend reviewing that with legal counsel and understanding what the boundaries of it are.
Josh, I think Jim, I don't want to speak for Jim, but I think his concern was personnel matters and that D1 should control the D1 members and D2 should control the D2 members, and we should have no say in who D2 picks, nor should they in us. And I think that's the only concern that Jim had on that as far as I could tell.
All right. Thanks, Josh, for your comments.
Janine had a hand up.
So this is
Janine?
Jane Mueller. I'm at 640 Indian Peaks. I just wanted to thank Tony. Hi, Tim. I live and Sam. I just wanted to thank you for allowing us as residents to do public comments at the end, because you're not going to get a lot of people caring about this stuff unless they actually feel they have a hand in this community. And running the board is a big thing, and we really appreciate it. But we'd like to know, if what we say or what adding comments will be considered. So appreciate at least giving us the time at the end of these meetings to add comments that we find about topics that a lot of people won't know about some of these topics you guys are talking about. So it's more about thank you. Thank you for considering that. Communication is huge. We have a neighbor next door who's not on Facebook. So between Jim and so I feel very strongly that if we get digital communications, I will make sure and print it out and give it to him because we want the whole community involved. This is our community. That's really all I've got.
Thanks.
Tony has a hand up.
Well, I was just going to add one comment about Josh. Somebody's muted. Okay. I was just going to follow a comment about Josh and the cost of the newsletter. Jeff, I had to get permission to send it, whether I paid for it. I mean, and I I've even volunteered to pay for it. But in order to use resources, district resources, i.e. the email or the physical addresses and names of everybody in the community, I had to get authorization from the board.
Yeah, so if there's any elaboration on that, it's really just making that delineation, and this is for all board members, it's not special to any individual one. Official district communications are paid for by the district, and they are able to utilize the district's basically email and communication list the district has. And the reason is because those people signed up to be on the district's email list, not on any individual board member's email list. Of course, any individual board member, if you want to send your own letter to the neighborhood and you have your own addresses and you pay for yourself, you can do that also. It's just making sure that that line is maintained between what is a district communication that the board is saying send out or directing SDMS to send out versus communication just from individuals. That's really the distinction.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
Christy.
Thank you. And thank you also for opening public comment again. I feel like I need to put my synthesizer brain on and try and summarize everything that's been in chat. I think Josh did some of it. I think there was general agreement that social media is where neighborhood communication happens now. And so it probably should not be the only place where communications are made, but it clearly works. You had 2 days notice. We all had 2 days notice, and this is a turnout that you get with a Facebook communication. If we had both of those, both a posted on the website, you might have more people in the clubhouse. I'm not sure. But I also want to note a lot of people said they're not going to come to in-person meetings. That's also a thing of the past. It makes me sad, but it is. Not everybody has the luxury and privilege to show up to in-person meetings. I think another, Jeff just clarified this. There was also just a lot of concerns about the newsletter and mailings, because those are our tax dollars. Like, we talk about them as district funds, those are our tax dollars. And if we're quibbling over park upkeep and pools, but we're also willing to call special meetings and do personal introductions that cost money, that's where I, as a resident, have problems.
Thanks, Christy. Tony.
Yeah,
Let me
in spite of, just a sec. Go ahead. In spite of multiple email exchanges with SDMS and actually messages back and forth on issues with Peggy and Travis, I'm not receiving notifications of meetings. I received one in the very beginning, but then after lots of communication with them, nothing since then. And I don't know if you all are aware of this, but we've asked the question. And as the last count, SDMS has only 20% of our community emails. And this is somewhere around double what we had before SDMS, which is a great improvement, but still 80% of this community doesn't even receive the message via email, which should be happening. So this idea of sending out a hard copy email to then get people to not only know the website, but to then go on the website and provide their emails is essential. And I don't know of any other way to do this. I mean, you guys have posted something finally on Facebook to give emails to people, to SDMS, but they're still not getting enough of those emails. And even if everybody were to ignore us and we send out the email to everybody and they don't do anything, they at least need to be notified. And I would use the word softly, legally, that we need to have them all know that this is the company we're working with. You need to give us your email if you wish to be informed when there's a meeting or anything else. And the only way that's going to happen is snail mail. We've got to send something out. The newsletter didn't accomplish it. And Jim's introduction and most of his message is about getting people to know this is the site and this is the email that you need to send in to these people in order for us all to have
meeting over there,
content.
so I,
Until we
yeah, I
have
notified when I
80%
was there. I tried to get.
Hey,
of
Mitch,
our
can you,
citizenship
Mitch,
on
put your
email, then
audio on
this
mute,
is
please.
terrible. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
The only thing that
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry, I was gonna we opened it for comments, so I was gonna give everybody as they signed up, and Dennis has his hand up. Dennis, are you okay with Tony going?
Absolutely. Yeah, I like listening to what Tony has to say. That's
Thank you,
valuable.
Dennis. That's very kind of you. The only thing I was gonna say, Tony Phileas, on the mailing of it is, I don't think that people who don't sign up for the email, I think if people wanted to be involved, they would reach out to get those things. I mean, everybody's on Facebook, and if
No,
they're
they
not,
aren't. No, they
okay,
aren't.
so, but if they're not, they're going to find resources to find those websites. They're gonna come sort us out. It's not like a letter in the mail is gonna change somebody's decision to join the email address. There's people who
might.
probably
That's
don't want to be bothered, honestly. I mean, if they're not engaging, I don't think that it's lack because they don't know that we're here. I think that some of them probably just don't want to be involved, which is sad, but it's true. I mean, how many meetings have we been in? Anybody who's been on this board since 2016 or these meetings, how many people are on the meetings, and stuff was really going south with Oakwood, and people in this neighborhood knew, but they still weren't on the meeting. So the only thing I would suggest is, let's do a meet and greet then, because it's going to save money, and the people that are going to want to be on the email distribution list are going to sign up. They know where they can.
And
If they're not on the email distribution list, how will they know about the meet and greet?
So
And
there's QR
I have-
codes. Sorry, so we're talking about mail going out, but at the mailboxes are the QR codes to actually sign up and information get to the district, right? So if they're having to physically check the mail for a letter in the mail, they're already seeing the information about the QR codes and signing up, correct?
I would just
There's
disagree
QR
with
codes at all.
Tony's. I would disagree with Tony's premise that everybody knows we're here, because I've talked to him, and Christina's nodding her head. There's a lot of people that don't even know there's a metro district and what we do and who we are and why we're here. And, let's get them engaged. And, that's my thought.
Other than
Okay,
All right.
Dennis.
That was a great conversation. I really enjoyed that. Just an observation, and just want to let you know, if you think I am ever going to scan a QR code that is sticking up in somewhere public, you're in your mind. I am not going to open myself up for anything like that. That's just a virus waiting to happen. Subcommittees. I love the idea of the subcommittees. I would make a request though. Can we be a little bit like take a page from our professional world with subcommittees, where a subcommittee will come back to the charter team and say, here are the things that we considered, here are the options, here are the pertinent details that go with these options, here's our recommendation. I mean, that's the way subcommittees are supposed to be. I think there was a lot of discussion on Facebook about like with the lifeguards, right? Well, if we don't go with lifeguards, we'll pay 70% as much, and that's too general. We need information. Then good decisions can be made. Introductions. Tony, you're right. Let's get some introductions going on. However we do it, mailing it, yeah, it's probably not going to work. It's probably going to get thrown away. I can't wait to throw stuff away that comes in the mail. But maybe a meet and greet, or can we put something on the Facebook page? Last thing I have is SDMS. I do not have the patience that all of y'all have for them. They work for me. They work for us. We have given them 6 months of grace, and still we're having half of this meeting talking about what they're not doing. Why don't we just put the line in the sand? Either they start doing what we're paying them to do, or their replacement will. I mean, if this was a professional world, this is exactly what we would be doing. if they were your plumber, they wouldn't be your plumber anymore, would they? Anyway, thank you for letting me speak.
Thanks, Dennis. Ashraf, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, you did. Thank you. Can you hear me? Oh,
Yep.
yeah, it's my mic. So I just wanted to kind of reiterate that what a few others have mentioned. And I understand that there's, a lot of concern about how Metro District, especially ours, has been run in the past. I honestly believe we are on a better trajectory. Yes, we still have issues, especially like, communications being a big one, this meeting being evidence of that as well. The fact that it was, called a week and before, not notified to anyone. And we all found out from, yes, Facebook that it was happening 2 days ago. But I mean, one of the things I keep hearing this emphasis on covenant enforcement as one of the reasons we want to separate from, at least not separate, but extricate ourselves a little bit from D2. And
No, please don't take what was said on Facebook. We don't
No,
want to separate it. We just want to manage jointly. We were going to use the same covenants, the same DRC. We want to be responsive to the Metro District 1 people and not have everything flow through Metro District 2. So we're not splitting, we're not separating, we just want control over our own district.
And my point was that I'm just going by what I've heard during the comments today, that, members of the District 1 board want to be able to tell SDMS who to enforce against. And I have lived in a community where the HOA board did things like that, and it became a spiral of negative, neighbors just trying to get things, reach out and lash out against people they didn't like. I don't want that control, that level of control of covenant enforcement in the hands of, people in the neighborhood. Like I like Jason's point that it gives us level of separation, that there's a hard list of covenants that must be enforced, and we pay someone to enforce them. That is out of the hands of neighbors. That is out of, free from that kind of behavior, because I've lived in a community like that. I do not want to live in a community like that again. And so this is, yeah, I guess this was just one of the topics that was discussed, but I agree, I hear what you're saying about wanting to have some more control over local issues. The thing is, we're one neighborhood. Yes, there's different types of houses on either side of the neighborhood, but we are one neighborhood. We have shared amenities. We have shared concerns. We're not, Erie versus Colorado Springs. We are Erie Highlands West Side and Erie Highlands East Side, and we have the same concerns. So trying to take some level of separation between what District 2 cares about versus what District 1 cares about, there isn't a difference there. We care about the same things. We live in the same town, the same neighborhood. We have the same amenities that we jointly pay for. I don't know anyone who knows about how the Metro District is set up that wants less control. People are wondering why we're not one Metro District. Why is there separate multiple ones? We should be one. And I mean, that's where I sorry, I'm probably past my 3 minutes, but thank you for letting me speak. And I reiterate that I appreciate opening up the public comments at the end again. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashraf. Annie. Annie?
You're on mute.
Hello?
There you are.
Hi. Okay. So, gosh, this is my very first meeting that I've seen, and it's really, really crazy. I guess I'm walking away from this thinking, do our voices actually even matter? Because it feels like we say something and then someone says, well, you're only a small percentage of the neighborhood. And then they just steamroll past what we're saying. So that makes me feel very like it just, I guess I don't have confidence that the board members actually want to hear from us. And that really bothers me. So I'd really like to hear what you have to say about that. But the other part is, I don't know how to say this, but I'd really like us to move to where we are now. We're in 2025. We're in digital land. I mean, when I open a letter from like someone soliciting something or someone trying to give me information and they used a stamp on it, my first thought is, you paid money for this? Like it's just kind of ridiculous. We have, and I'm not saying that one digital path is better than the other. I'm saying use all of them. You know, like what is wrong with that? I just don't understand. And then the last thing, because I came in kind of in the middle, so I apologize for whatever I missed. But I came in the middle of, I think it's Jim, that guy with the glasses in the clubhouse. He was like really mad that he had reported like 3 infractions, I guess, and hadn't heard back anything. And I just didn't really understand why we're discussing that in this meeting when it seems to be like a really simple thing where we just talk to the people who are investigating this and tell them, hey, you have to confirm that you got this report and that's it. And then from that point, we have to trust that they're going to do their job. But I mean, yeah, so this whole meeting for me was just very weird. And yeah, that's all I have to say. It was extremely weird.
Thanks, Annie. Anybody else want to provide comment?
I will, just as a resident as well, not a board member, but I would personally like to say thank you to the community for speaking up, for coming out. As I've always mentioned, your voices are very important. We deeply, as a board, need to hear it. As everyone has known from listening to me on this board for years, community is who we serve. Without knowing your input, without knowing how you feel, everyone's making their decisions in a black box. I would really, really hope that hearing the voices of the community, reading the comments of the community, help the rest of the board members as they plan to vote on actions, as they plan to move forward, how the community actually feels and where they feel the interest for this, or like how we need to move forward is, not on their own personal agendas. But yep, I appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Do you have a
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Take it at 4-1. This meeting is,
Who was opposed?
Jason didn't respond.
Oh, okay. He's absent.
No, it was an aye. I was just on double mute.
Oh, okay, no problem. I'll put you down as unanimous then.
And I have copied all of the comments into a Word document, and we'll have that included with the notes, meeting notes. So thank you, everyone, for attending and for your comments and candor.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Night. Night.